Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We are continuing our reading of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab's Removal of Doubts book. Deals with Islamic monotheism and have found it to be quite rewarding and educational. So we're going to continue upon that path. Let us begin. Okay. Bismillah. So, if this is what can be derived from the book, the Sunnah, and the speech of the people of knowledge, then this is in accordance to the wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal, His great leniency and compassion that He does not punish anyone until having established the proof upon them. The intellects alone are not sufficient in assessing exactly what is obligatory upon mankind concerning the rights of Allah, and if the intellect alone were sufficient, then the establishment of the proof upon mankind would not depend upon the sending of the messengers. The fundamental principle here regarding the one who ascribes to Islam is that he remains upon Islam until it can be decisively proven otherwise by way of evidence from the book and the Sunnah. Oh no, my pen died. Oh, here we go. Okay, and the Sunnah. So, it is not permissible to be careless in ascribing disbelief to a person, because in this there exist two serious harms. Okay, so two serious harms. So, it's not permissible to be careless in calling and doing takfir on everyone. And as a revert, I had never really seen this kind of stuff before until later when Muslims started doing takfir on me. It's quite insane, actually. Muslims love kicking other Muslims out, I have to say. One of them is to falsely attribute this ruling, which he has applied to the person being judged to Allah Azza wa Jal. As for the first problem, then it should be clear, since it involves assigning the ruling of disbelief to a person whom Allah Azza wa Jal has not declared a disbeliever. This person is similar to the one who permits what Allah has prohibited, because establishing the ruling of disbelief, or its absence, is an affair that returns to Allah alone, like the establishment of permissibility and impermissibility. So, essentially, what's allowed and what isn't allowed is frozen, right? It's there, and we must make sure we know it clearly, and make sure that we are not doing innovation in bid'ah. So, you are a disbeliever according to what the Quran and Sunnah contends as a disbeliever. As for the second problem, then it revolves around describing a Muslim with the wrong attribute. So, if it is said that he is a disbeliever, while he is free from such a description, and it is possible that this description of disbelief will now return to him because of what has been authentically reported in Sahih Muslim upon the authority of Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "If a Muslim declares his brother to be a disbeliever, then this statement returns to one of them." So, that one is really potent, because it feels good to some, I think, to call another Muslim not a disbeliever. So they want to label them quickly, harshly, swiftly, to kind of one-up them in a heated disagreement. But that can be detrimental for our spirituality. You want people to be upon Tawheed, not to break the rules, stick to the straight path. But at the same time, you want to make sure you're not chasing them away from Islam or pelting them with stones of takfir. And, in another narration, if he is as he says he is, but if not, then the statement returns to him. So, You judge by what is apparent if it really is an evident munafiq, right? He's an evident disbeliever. Like, he's just gone off the deep end. That's quite different then, isn't it? But if it's still a bit unknown, because only Allah knows the unseen, and it's not purely evident, then you gotta examine it. Because remember earlier, he said that there's people who are ignorant and don't know. So the intention and knowledge level matters. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said concerning this in the prophetic narration narrated by Abu Dar, may Allah be pleased with him, and whoever ascribes disbelief to anyone or declares someone an enemy of Allah, and this is not the case, then certainly it will return to him, the accuser. And that was in Sahih Muslim and Ahmad in the Al-Musnad. This means that it will return to him. The statement of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the narration of Ibn Umar, if he is as he say he is, meaning if this is according to the actual ruling of Allah Azza. Similarly, his statement in the narration of Abu Dar, while none of this is true, also refers to the ruling of Allah Azza. So this is the second problem. I'm referring to the potential for the ascription of disbelief to return to the accuser if his brother was truly free of such an ascription. So he's really reiterating his points here. He laid it out for us that it is not a game to just be like, you're a disbeliever, you're this, you're that, blah blah blah, you're a murtad, you're munafiq, blah 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 blah, all the different words they have to just kick people out of the fold. You better be careful, essentially, is what we're learning here, quite evidently. Because if you really feel like it's self-evident and you look at the Quran and Sunnah, you know, you can be weary of such an individual. And you can be like, hey, you messed up on this part, but to kick them all out of the fold, well, that's quite serious. This is truly a great problem, since it is something that a person may fall into. This is because the majority of those who are hasty in ascribing disbelief, so notice this, even they recognize it. Even Wahhaab and Uthaymeen recognize this. The majority of those who are hasty in ascribing disbelief to Muslims are pleased with their actions and look down upon others. So they couple their amazement with their action, which could lead to their nullification, to their pride, which merits the punishment of Allah Azza in the hellfire, as comes in the prophetic narration collected by Ahmad and Abu Dawood from the narration of Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, which states of the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Allah said, pride is my cloak and majesty is my garment. So whoever competes with me in either of these two qualities, then I will throw him into the hellfire. Wow. So when he mentions looking down upon others, there is that special boy feeling, I think, that I don't see women do this a lot. However, I do see younger Muslim men doing this a lot. And you, as a revert, don't lose hope because someone's doing takfir on you. You have to be steadfast, do your best, and make sure you fact check them. But also, I think just trolls and bots love to do that to each other. It's like a group. It's like, you know when someone, you say the F word, or you say something very mean, and like it comes out and it feels good. I think when people say things to other Muslims, kicking them out of the fold, then they feel good. They feel like, well, we're the special ones and you're not. And I recall this Javad, I think his name was, Jafed, Daniel called him. He was having a debate with Daniel Hakikichu on Modern Day Debate, And I usually watch on Modern Day Debate because I'm a member on that channel. And when I switched over to see Daniel's chat, all his fans were basically doing takfir on Javad. And I don't know anything about that guy, but I was like, dang, that must be brutal. It must be brutal to have your own community kick you out of the fold of Islam because you're arguing something that you believe to be true. And I don't know nothing about him and his organizations and whatnot. But there are young men who do enjoy doing that. And Asim al-Hakim has also mentioned this in many videos. And here in this book it's mentioning it. So this seems to be something Muslim men love to do. Because I've never seen a sister do it. Never. But I have seen that quite often. So the fact I keep hearing this, and the guy named Knowledge North, he made a video, forget who he was talking about, but I just remember him mentioning a takfiris. I don't remember. It was a long time ago that I watched it. But it is quite common to hear this. So it's sad. So here we have several hadiths by Abdullah ibn Umar, Abu Dar, okay, and Abu Huraira, that this is not something that you're supposed to do. You need to make sure you are not just doing takfir like you know everything. So it is obligatory before declaring someone to be a disbeliever to consider two matters. Okay. The first matter, the book and the Sunnah establishes that this matter is actually disbelief. This is to prevent him telling lies about Allah. So, before you do takfir on someone, it looks the Quran and the Sunnah. Alright? And then, you have to see if that's really disbelief. If you don't, you're telling lies about Allah. The second matter, the proper application of the ruling to a specific individual to the extent that the conditions of applying such a ruling are met, and the two factors that could prevent such a ruling are eliminated. From the most important of these conditions is that the individual is aware of his mistake and opposition, which necessitates disbelief. Because of the statement of Allah, so notice here, they need to be aware of their mistake and opposition. Super important. They may not even know. That's why back in the day, like, I used to get all kinds of stuff. I'm sorry you left the fold of Islam. I'm like, what are they even talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. And this can make you just go nuts. Because you're like, these people are insane. They suck out all the spirituality and you're like fighting Muslims more than anything else. And so the person needs to be made aware, like, hey, by the way, if you believe this, then you've done this, right? So we have a Quran quote here. And whoever opposes the messenger after guidance has been made clear to him, so been made clear, and follows other than the way of the believers, we will direct him towards the path which he has chosen and burn him in hell. And what an evil destination. So, been made clear. People get doubts, people get confused, they may not know. Try to clear it up, try to help them out, right? Guide them to someone also who can help. So in order to be punished with the hellfire, it has been made conditional that this opposition to the messenger occurs after guidance has been made clear to him. But it is a condition that he knows the exact consequences of his violation. So a condition is what? The exact consequences of his violation. So make it clear, hey, this was your mistake, this is what you're opposing. By the way, this is the condition that's going to come if you do this violation. Boom. Make it clear. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Right? People want to learn. It's just the way in which you do it. Which may result in his disbelief, or it is sufficient that he is aware that it is a violation even if he is ignorant of its consequences. Okay. perfect. So, very serious. So Uthaymeen and Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab have made it clear. You are not supposed to just be a takfiri. There's a difference between those who know the religion and then they abuse it and they prohibit people from it. They actually become enemies to Islam, he argues. And he mentioned previously the grave of Abd al-Qadir, grave of Ahmad al-Badawi. That one, I didn't know who they were. And then, just to reiterate, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really lenient, the most merciful, as we know, as his name and attributes attest, that he doesn't punish anyone until having established the proof upon them. So, you need to prove to someone, essentially what we've learned here, that they have messed up. Okay? Yeah, look at the Quran and Sunnah. Prove them that they messed up. Make it clear. Explain to them how they're opposing what Islam says. Alright? Help them to fix their mistake. Explain the consequences of the violation. And the funny part is people will tell you can't read hadith on your own because it's dangerous. But then, when they are trying to prove something to you, they just drop a hadith with no explanation. So there's a hypocrisy there. So people can't read hadith without further explanation, and then people will drop hadiths in replies to people without explaining what it is they're getting at, or the point of that is. So people can come at you with hadiths, but if you read hadiths for educational purposes on your own, then you're lost and dangerous. It don't make no sense. So try to make sure the person has been reasoned with, is what I get from this. Reason with them, and don't give up. Sometimes it takes a few times for people to really get the wisdom, and I find that to be very beneficial. Sometimes you can tell someone something, and they're like, I don't know. And then, you know, maybe 2 weeks later, the situation comes up again, you bring it up again. Then someone else can bring it up, and the person starts to notice a pattern. Doesn't feel like they're being rated on, like, oh, you're just driving me nuts. Just spam, spam, spam. Harass, harass, harass. Takfir, takfir. That's not going to convince anyone. The more you hound people, the more they shut off. It's the way in which you do it. It's almost like the flow of water. Be smooth about it. And also just leave an open door for people to ask questions. That's also very beneficial. Encourage questioning and reasoning so that people, when they need an answer, they can go and get it. Make it accessible. Spread knowledge so that knowledge is just flowing like pollen in the wind. Really educational, this book. We are more than halfway through it, and has been chunk full of knowledge. Chunk and full. I like it. Hope you like it as well. By the way, if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilhanArchive. Hope to see you there.